I like to say some of the basics, and it sounds silly. It's like client contracts. Do we have everything organized in one folder and we're sure we have a process to ensure everything is signed? Now, if it's a business that doesn't, necessarily lend itself to like enterprise sales or big contracts, just having a process to organize the data around your client and contractual relationships, understanding, how does renewal work for like a service-based business, somebody that's mowing lawns every season, what is that process for renewals, and what is your churn? And understanding where and how that is accounted for. And kind of leading into that is three, just have a basic organizational system. This doesn't have to be overly complicated, but having a basic organizational system of where are your documents? Where are your employee agreements? Are they all signed? Like what are your HR policies? What is your employee handbook? These are all things that none of us actually want to do as business owners, but they're things that you're going to need to have in place and accounted for most businesses to sell.
This episode is brought to you by Pierre Tax and Accounting, led by CPA Eric Pierre, a seasoned accounting and tax expert with years of experience helping individuals and businesses navigate complex financial landscapes. Whether you need personal tax planning, business tax strategy, bookkeeping, or financial planning support, Eric and his team are committed to helping you protect and grow your financial future with clarity and confidence. To get expert guidance you can trust, check out Pierre Tax and Accounting at pierreaccounting.com. This episode is brought to you by my friend Silas Lagoy over at ForgeMark Wealth. If you're a high-income business owner or professional and feel like you're getting crushed by taxes, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not stuck. ForgeMark Wealth specializes in advanced legal tax strategies and wealth planning designed to help you keep more of what you make, grow it efficiently, and actually build long-term freedom, not just income. If you're making serious money but don't have a real strategy behind it yet, I highly recommend connecting with Silas and his team. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Big Hitters Podcast. I'm joined by Brian Dukes, who is now one of the sponsors of this podcast. And one of the reasons that we wanted to work with Brian is because we often talk with founders, owners who are thinking somewhere down the line, maybe they might want to exit. And a lot of business owners kind of are, don't love broadcasting that. But one thing I found, Brian, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, like it's on everyone's mind. And so one of the interesting things about exiting is it really helps to have a specialist walking you through it. And it's never too early to start. And so, Brian, I wanted to have you back on the show to kind of pick your brain on that. What are the trends you're seeing? What are some of the things you're seeing with private equity now in terms of capital and where it's going? But maybe talk to us just a little bit about Exitwise in general and kind of what you guys do.
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, it's great to be back. Appreciate the invitation. Love having this conversation. Try to be succinct. Entrepreneur in my kind of second foray, last business, 15 years in the making, had an incredible failure of my own when it came to M&A and picking the right investment banker. Decided to write my own playbook. Did it ourselves, acquired some businesses along the way. And in this next foray, really operationalized that playbook and how we ourselves thought about building the right M&A team and process to go to market. I think you said it yourself. Exit readiness is one of those things that we all kind of hear. It's like an overused buzzword. Everybody says, go get exit ready. But especially for our first-time founders, myself included, having gone through it the first time, you have no idea what that actually means. And so we're on a mission at Exitwise to help prepare businesses, inform, educate, advise business owners that are likely going through it for the first or second time and really need assistance in getting ready, openly talk about what it means to exit and preparing to exit, and then build a fully functional M&A team when it comes time to go, to try to really reduce the risk of failure that unfortunately the industry has supported for far too long.
What's up, everybody? This episode is sponsored by Exitwise. If you're a business owner thinking about selling your company, whether that's now or years down the road, you need to know what your business is actually worth and how to maximize that exit. That's exactly what Exitwise does. They help you prepare, position, and ultimately sell your business by assembling a world-class team of M&A experts around you, guiding you from valuation all the way through closing. If you want to know what your business is really worth and how to increase that number before you sell, go check out exitwise.com and get ahead of it. So one of the cool things about Exitwise that I think is really different than anybody else I've seen is you have basically a directory of founders that have exited their businesses. And it seems like you have almost every industry covered, like tech, blue collar. Talk to us about that program. I think that's a really cool value add that you do with your founders.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. When it comes to building a business towards and through an M&A process, you obviously have the technical skills, M&A attorneys, investment bankers, all very important. And we provide many of those services. But one of the things that I think the industry has missed as a whole is this idea of experienced founders that have gone through it themselves. And so we have a little over 100 what we call exited founders in our network. These are folks that have built and sold at least one business in a variety of industries. And so they have the empathy of what does it take to build something? What does it take to sell something? Where are all those missteps and successes? How did they all come to fruition? But they also know their industry of expertise really, really well. So adding somebody like that to an M&A team, whether it's a year away from a process or right in the middle, can be so powerful. And honestly, the reason or the way that we came up with it is myself and my partners, we're not classically trained bankers. We augmented ourselves with others around us to support those processes. But we know our industries really, really well. So mine is automotive, MarTech, digital marketing, agency land. I was playing that role in probably 7 or 8 different transactions in 23, 24. And we said, boy, it'd be great if we could find others that have had similar experiences to ourselves that would want to be additive to a process and help their fellow founders. And it's really resonated in both directions. It's so additive to a process for a first-time founder to be able to be coached by somebody who's literally been in their shoes before, not just a banker that knows the technical aspects of a transaction. And from the other side, for our exited founders, they're getting a ton out of it because as humans, what do we want in life, right? Of course, we need to be able to put food on the table, roof over our heads, take care of our friends and loved ones. But at the end of the day, we want to give back and build community. And for folks that have had an exit or two under their belt, maybe they don't need the big paycheck any longer, but they want to be able to utilize the skill set and knowledge that they have and that they've experienced. And what we found is, yes, there are economics to be shared, rightfully so, but they love being helpful in these processes. It's really, I think, the favorite part of what we do. What I do on a day-to-day basis is being additive to a process.
What are some of the things that you normally work on with an owner? Like when you take them through this process, is it just like consulting me if I'm thinking about, or what are some of the different kind of things you do in the weeds to help me get ready for a sale?
Yeah, there's really two designations. The first is more financial readiness. A lot of people say valuation, and of course we want to know what the thing is worth, of course, but that's almost the punchline to a bigger project, which is just organizing financials, translating QuickBooks into something that a buyer actually wants to see and needs to see to understand your business. That is kind of the first step. That tends to be businesses that are within a year of going to market. They think they're ready. We're validating kind of the value of the platform that they've built, but they need to start organizing their backbone, right? They need to organize those financials, start building the data room, start thinking about their marketing materials, et cetera. The second phase is for businesses that are more like 1 to 5 years or even more away from transacting. They know what they want to start preparing, but they're not necessarily looking to exit tomorrow. It starts with a full business diagnostic, really looking at every aspect of the business, finance, but also legal operations, I'd call it the emotional or personality types around the executive team, kind of client concentration, IP, really all aspects of the business. And the the output of a 4-week project is just a full diagnostic of the business. It is the prescription of, you want to exit your business at X value in the next 1 to 5 years. Here are the 3 to 5 things you need to accomplish. And out of that is, I like to compare it to a personal trainer. I'll give you your diet plan. I'll give you your workout schedule. You can go do that yourself if you'd like. We also have one of our exited founders that can support you through that process on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to ensure you're accomplishing kind of all the pieces there. So again, on the front end, somebody who is really close to wanting to exit, maybe they've even gotten an inbound offer on their business, they need to start cleaning up financials, organizing data room, marketing materials. Somebody that's maybe being a little bit more, they're looking a little bit more into the future and they want to be prepared. There's no timeline. They want to understand how a buyer would look at their business and start preparing for that. That's more the business diagnostic and full grow, raise, exit.
Is it okay? So I had one the other day. I was like, he was on the show. I know he wants to sell eventually. He's like, and I was like, you got to talk to Brian. And he was like, oh, I'm not ready for that yet. I'm like, wait a sec. Now is the time. So I guess that's my question is, how soon is too soon? Like if I'm thinking about this in 5 years, is it too early to start having a conversation with you about it?
Yeah, I smile because I know that feeling. I've literally lived in those shoes. I completely understand. We're kind of coached to say M&A is this like secret word you hide in the back closet and you don't think about it until the last minute. And rightfully so. You don't want to necessarily announce to the world when you go to market for good reason. With that said, just like anything else in life, doing it in small bits and bites is a lot easier than doing it all at once. I'm on the board of a business that I love. I love the company. I love the tech. I love the management team. They speak openly about exiting to their employees every quarterly meeting. And that doesn't mean they're announcing the valuation. It doesn't mean that they're talking about all the details of that process, but they're not hiding the fact that they're building this business to exit. And it kind of makes sense, right? If in their case, in many cases, their employees are on some sort of employee stock plan or option plan, or they're getting kind of phantom equity. You don't want, you'd like as an employee to have a sense of, in the next 5 years, if I work really, really hard, I could have a little bit of an outcome here. That's really, really exciting to me. And I think it changes the dynamic when it comes time to exit. Because again, we've all been there. You see the scary suits show up at the front conference room for 2 weeks, and there's a lot of marketing decks with a lot of financials, and everybody starts telling secrets of what's happening. It's because they don't really know what's going on. They're wondering what's in it for me, or what does this mean, or what should I tell people when they ask? They're focused on the wrong things versus bits and bytes. Like, start chunking out those components of exit readiness early, starting having open conversations with your employees and your teams, and it makes it a far easier process when you get to the end.
This episode is brought to you by 10X Nerds. If you're a business owner doing real revenue, there's a good chance you're overpaying in areas you haven't even looked at. Things like credit card processing, insurance, telecom, and more. 10X Nerds comes in, audits your expenses across 30 plus categories, and finds immediate savings. And here's the kicker. They only get paid if they save you money. It's a complete no-brainer. If you want to keep more of what you make, go check them out at 10xnerds.com. This episode is brought to you by Rakowski Law Firm. If you're a business owner or have built a level of wealth, but you don't have your estate plan dialed in, you're exposed. Rakowski Law Firm helps families and business owners protect their assets, avoid probate, and make sure everything transfers exactly how it should. This isn't just paperwork. It's a real strategy to protect your legacy. If you haven't looked at your plan in a while or don't have one, go to rakowskilawfirm.com. What are some of the things right now? So let's say I'm a business owner. Who did I just have on? I had a pest control guy on, had a roofer on. What are some things that I can do right now to start preparing for that? Is it all about my financials? Is it how I run my business and my culture? Like, what are the 2 or 3 things that are really important right now?
Finance is huge. Too many of us, my fellow founders, we don't put enough time and effort into managing our financials. We need to have a high quality CPA, not not necessarily just like a friend of a friend that kind of does it on the side. You need to invest the time and effort. And with AI, it's even easier. Let's organize our financials and have a really good sense of not just history, but start getting pragmatic about the future. Like, what are your forecasting goals? Because at some point, somebody's going to ask you, how do you do a forecast? And you probably be good having done that before. So that's number one.
Are there any types of accounting methods that are shunned in acquisitions?
I think we all hear this like, well, we can't be on cash accounting. It really needs to be accrual based, which, that I'd say most buyers want to see accrual accounting. So of course that is the best case. It's of course easier, especially for a startup, to run on cash. Like I get it, I understand, but yeah, running towards an accrual basis, and any high quality CPA or bookkeeper can help you kind of manage that process. And it's far easier to take it on now than later. We have a business right now that we're about to take to market. It's going to be about a $30 to $40 million transaction. They have to switch before we can go. They have to switch from cash to accrual. And it is a massive pain in the ass. Massive pain in the ass. It's a big project. And if they'd done it earlier in their kind of ecosystem, it wouldn't have been nearly as big. So finance is one. Two, I like to say some of the basics, and it sounds silly. It's like client contracts. Do we have everything organized in one folder, and we're sure we have a process to ensure everything is signed? Now, if it's a business that doesn't, necessarily lend itself to like enterprise sales or big contracts, just having a process to organize the data around your client and contractual relationships, understanding, how does renewal work for like a service-based business, somebody that's mowing lawns every season, what is that process for renewals, and what is your churn, and understanding where and how that is accounted for. And kind of leading into that is three, just have a basic organizational system. This doesn't have to be overly complicated, but having a basic organizational system of where are your documents, where are your employee agreements, are they all signed? Like, what are your HR policies? What does your employee handbook look like? These are all things that none of us actually want to do as business owners. But they're things that you're going to need to have in place and accounted for most businesses to sell. And again, I promise you, it's easier to do earlier than it is when you're under the scrutiny of, I got to get this thing, put together in the next 3 months.
Yeah. It reminds me of how I used to write my papers in college. I would wake up the day before, crank them out. I'm like, probably not how you want to sell your business. You probably want to start
preparing. It's human nature.
This
is I say it's the no judgment zone. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But no different than, I don't know about your kind of like your workout, perspective. Like, I need a personal trainer to be with me a couple times a week to keep me honest and to keep me accountable to things like that. That's me. I say the same things for business, like having an advisor, a board member, somebody that's in your corner that keeps you accountable to some of these pieces. That's the role that we play in a lot of cases with our businesses and clients.
Brian, is it always private equity, or do you ever oversee someone who wants to exit and sell to like a larger parent company or something? Like, is it always just to, these private equity firms?
Yeah, I think if you looked at our statistics over the last 3 years, it'd be an even a third split of private equity, which is more like financial buyers, strategic buyers. So think of if you're selling your business, you're selling to either maybe a partner that you're working with, or even a competitor at times. Those are more strategic buyers. And the third is something called searchers, or self-funded searchers, search funds. These are individuals or small teams that want to be entrepreneurs, but they don't want to build something themselves from scratch. And so they go rally up some of their own funding or third parties funding to build basically a mini private equity fund to go acquire one or more businesses. Our clients sell in a lot of different ways. It's, certainly by industry and by size, those percentages change a little bit. HVAC, for example, pretty much every HVAC business on earth that has been sold in the last 3 years has gone to private equity. No surprise. But there's a lot of other buyers out there. And I think to run a great process,
Why
You
do they
really
like
should touch them
HVAC so
all.
much? Like, what's the deal? Like, you know, I don't get it. Yeah, HVAC is the same to me as like roofing and plumbing, and like, what's the difference?
Um, I think it's a little bit more repeatable. There's oftentimes not a lot of back office support for those businesses.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd speak confidently of what makes them so unique versus a roofer or a plumber. But they're typically businesses that don't have a lot of back office, that make a lot of money, that don't require a ton of like overhead. Um, and to be able to kind of roll up regional players, centralize back end operations, it's a pretty nice way to grow. But it's at this point it's very very competitive.
What
Uh,
are some of the what I know you never like answering this question, but I'll put you on the spot. What's hot right now? What industries are hot right now with PE?
all the home services are just on fire. Each every month, every quarter, something comes and goes a little bit, but anything related to home services is really really hot. Part of that is everything that I just said. Like they're easy to replicate or replace back office operations. Have a digital footprint and really kind of increase the multiple on that business. Part of it is it's difficult to replace via AI. One of the questions we get from every buyer right now is this business ripe to be disrupted by AI, or is AI the rocket fuel to make it go a lot faster? And
Mm-hmm.
home services those businesses make a lot of money, and they're not yet going to be wholly disrupted by AI. Who
Mm-hmm.
knows what that future has? But it's not like a SaaS company that everybody says like, oh, tomorrow it's dead, it's over
Yeah,
because AI is going to replace it. These are services that still require a lot of human effort.
I've been on a tear with plumbers lately on the podcast, but actually, I think I friended some sort of a coach or like personality with pest control. And so all of a sudden, Facebook's suggesting all these pest control people to me. And that's quietly, I think, an industry where people crush. You're just killing ants and mice and stuff like that, but that's recurring revenue. So I find them all to be fascinating. Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of blows my mind.
If you look at
Um,
our client base, we're very, very heavy in the industries that we have really connected, exited founders. Again, I'm probably working with 5 to 10 automotive martech or digital agencies. Again, because they're gravitating to me. Same for my co-founders. We have a lot of sports and sports tech,
hmm.
wearables, healthcare
Yeah,
tech.
tell us a story about an interesting company you're working with right now. That'd be fun. It's something that you can disclose, not that you're under the gun on.
Yeah, yeah. For one of my favorites, they're not actually in an M&A process, so we can openly talk about it. They're a call it a pharmaceutical business, non narcotic pharmaceutical business that provide solutions for professional and big college sports teams. So you think about, pick your favorite professional athlete. When they get a head cold, they're not driving to CVS to go pick up their meds. They're getting it from the team doctor. And anything that is non-narcotic or like physical, like all the tape and gauze and like all of that kind of medical equipment um, goes through largely a single supplier. And beyond that, they've actually started to compound their own supplements. And so there's a variety of very big name clients that I probably can't name by name, but that are taking these very specific non narcotic compounds that we're helping them build a direct to consumer product for, right?
Hmm.
So it's taking a business that is really interesting and really exciting because you can be in these clubhouses and these locker rooms of these teams and see like some of your heroes from TV, but now you're transitioning products that they're using behind the scenes and bringing it to market no different than a 5 Hour Energy. And it's been a really cool project. We're supplementing the executive team. They're raising a little bit of capital to really empower what we're doing. And yeah, we're helping in a lot of different ways, all with the vision of let's sell this thing in the next 5 years.
Hmm. I like that. What else? Was there anything we haven't talked about today that gets you fired up? That can be unrelated to business.
I'm ready for the spring to arrive. I'm always excited about college basketball season, having played college basketball way back when.
Great. This is a great segue because I met you in person recently, and you are much taller than I thought you would be.
Yeah.
So
I always ask people if I look like I'm a small person on
you don't
camera.
look tall on camera. You don't. Yeah. So and then
maybe that means I'm proportional.
Like 6'5", 6'6". I have to stand on a box to just be normal next to you.
Yeah.
So
I get that a lot. But this is always my kind of my Christmas time from a sports perspective. You get the NCAA tournaments, and then I'm also a golfer, so the Masters is right around the corner. So you get the big wins there, and then all of a sudden, being here in the Midwest of the U.S., the spring is officially here, and we're outdoors having fun. I'm always in a better mood when we hit this.
What's your sports fanhood stack of teams? Who are your teams? NFL, NBA, all the things.
So my family all grew up so I'm an odd one for professional and college because my whole family grew up in Ohio, in the Cleveland area. So I was raised a Cleveland Browns fan, but then my parents moved to Detroit. So I was a Browns and Lions fan. Up until the last couple of years, two of the worst NFL franchises ever conceived. So that's been great. But most of the rest of my family moved south and went to the Ohio State University. So everybody, my dad and I, and our network up here all went to University of Michigan. Most of my family went to Ohio State. So we are friends when we cheer for the Browns, not so much when it comes to kind of Buckeye Wolverine Nation. And then, I'm pretty deep into Detroit sports. We've had a nice little run here with all four of our teams being pretty decent, which is a fun place to be when sports are good.
Well, there was talk about David Montgomery maybe coming to the Broncos, which I would have been a fan of, but I don't know if that's actually happening anymore.
I think they traded him to the Texans.
Did they? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
No, we got Jalen Waddle, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, well, the Broncos broke my heart growing up. The last time the Browns were good, I think, was when they were losing in Mile High Stadium on the drive. So thanks for that.
I was a Giants fan back then, so I can't take part of that.
Fair enough.
Okay, so you have a really interesting thing that you do, which I love, is a really low barrier to entry. Hey, just see what your business is worth. So can you talk about your $5,000 business valuation thing that you guys do?
Yeah, a little bit full circle to those two areas of kind of short-term need versus longer-term diagnostic. Short-term need is organized financials. Let's peg a baseline valuation for your business by a certified valuator. It's a $5,000 4-week project in which we take everything out of QuickBooks, all of the kind of executive interviews, really understand your business, organize those documents, data room, and peg a valuation. On the flip side, more of a 4 to 6 week full business diagnostic, that is $10,000. And again, covers your financial valuation, but also does full spectrum analysis of the business. And it's really, kind of whichever path you want to go, right? If you're a little bit more shorter term and really just want to better understand where your business lies from a value perspective, we start everybody at the first phase. Many migrate though into the bigger diagnostic of tell me the 3 to 5 things I need to do over the next 2 years to really knock everybody's socks off.
I really like that. So you're not asking me to sign like a crazy 2-year contract or anything. And then
No.
Yeah, that's great.
No, I sorry for interrupting. I mean, it's part of the reason we designed that is many M&A advisors and bankers, they'll say they do that for free, but they require you to sign an engagement letter with a monthly retainer and a 2-year tail. We're not big believers there. We want to understand your business, understand where you're at before we start signing long-term engagements. And to be honest, we should be willing to show off for 4 weeks and deliver a ton of value before you make the biggest kind of financial decision of your life in regards to your business.
I love that. Well, how can I, let's say I'm a business owner listening to this show. What's the best next step? How can I get a hold of you?
Yeah, the social profile I'm on most is LinkedIn. Brian Dukes. My email address is Brian, BRIAN, @exitwise.com. Please reach out. Love to talk to you, free consultation, and really talk through how and where we can be helpful.
I love it, man. Well, when I first started running this podcast, I didn't anticipate this, but I talked to a lot of founders who it's on their mind, even though they don't necessarily want to broadcast it publicly sometimes. And I went looking for the best M&A firm that I could find. And I really believe Exitwise has a really unique program and a lot of really easy ways to engage with them that is kind of
like you said, not a 2-year commitment and things like that. So I highly recommend Brian. I've met him in person. I can speak to his character. So definitely give him a shout, guys. And Brian, I look forward to having you sponsor the podcast. Thanks for coming on again.
Happy to be here. Thanks, Andrew.